Alright, welcome back to Blind Entertainment, guys. Vision here, bringing you guys another video. Today I'm going to be doing another TV show recommendation for one of my favorite shows, Timeless on NBC, which is returning for its second season tomorrow night, March 11th. I think it's at 10 o'clock, but don't quote me. Check your local listings if I'm wrong. But I want to give you guys my thoughts, kind of give a recap of the first season and tell you guys why I think you check it out. So if that's something you're interested in, want to know my thoughts, see my reviews of these episodes, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon. That way you won't be able to miss any future videos I do on Timeless. Now let's begin. So, what is Timeless? Now, if you haven't checked out the show, basically it follows the premise of a trio of people: Lucy Preston, a historian; Wyatt Logan, a military soldier; and Rufus, who is pretty much the operator of the time machine. They have to go through time and chase down this kind of terrorist Garcia Flynn, who is traveling to different points in history with his own agenda, which we find out later. I'll reel that later on in this kind of recap video. And they kind of have to stop him from messing up the timeline of different countries and all these different things. And it's a really great show. I highly recommend it. But before we go even further, I want to just mention there will be spoilers. So if you want to just know the first season and don't care about the spoilers going into season 2, then keep watching. But if you want to watch it for yourself, binge watch it before the season premieres tomorrow night, then I highly recommend maybe not watching this whole thing. But if you don't feel like wasting your time, that's up to you. But I just want to throw that out to you that I will be giving spoilers for the first season. So if you don't want to know them and you just want to watch the first season, then you might want to go check out the first season and come watch this video after the fact. Now let's move on, because I'm going to talk about each character, their storyline within the show, and kind of give my perspective on each character in the show and why I think they add something great, even though they might seem at first why they're just random people in the story. So first we got Lucy. She's the lead of the show, the main protagonist of the show, and her main purpose for serving the show is revealed within the first episode of the season, which I think was pretty great, given our lead the reason why to continue on this journey. Because when we first meet her, they kind of go to her and she doesn't want to go on this mission, and she even states there's millions of historians out there in the world, why pick me? And they don't really reveal why they pick her until later in the season. But there's a reason why she continues on this mission, and it's revealed at the end of the first episode, the first mission they go on. She has a sister, and at the end of that mission, whatever they did in that when they went back in time to that event at the Hindenburg, which was their first mission, erased her sister from history, and it was like her sister was never born. And it also changed her life in other ways, because her mom was very sick. And when she came back, her mom was actually well and wasn't sick, and she was engaged. That's a kind of side note. The engagement doesn't really have to do much with the story, but that's something else that changed in her life. So her sister was erased from history, and her mom was no longer sick. So that's what drives Lucy in this story, is she makes a deal with the FBI and the federal agents that she'll continue on this mission. But eventually she wants to go back to that point and figure out a way to bring back her sister from, the death, or bring her back into existence into this world. And I think that was such a great kind of way to connect her into this story. You got this character, like she said, there's millions of historians out there. She's one of them. And one of the reasons that she is revealed, there is a bigger reason why she's handpicked for this job, but I don't want to get into this right now. I'll get into that later in this review. But I think giving her something to fight for, bring back her sister, was something they did right to start off the show with right away, within the first episode at least. Next, you got Wyatt Logan. He is a soldier, and he serves as the muscle of the group. Now, Lucy serves as kind of the brains. You need her when you're going back in time, because, to know all the historical importance to, certain events, all that kind of stuff. But you might be thinking, why would you need a soldier? But if you think about it, when they go back to certain missions, like the Alamo, the Revolutionary War, and all these other kinds of places in history, you soon realize this is the guy you need for protection. And at first, he comes off as he's just there as muscle. There's nothing important to this character. However, he has a reason for being in this show, and he's kind of sees the time machine as his own ticket to fix his life in a way, but not in the way you might think. because I think when a lot of people hear like they're gonna use a time machine to change their life, you think, oh, he's gonna go back, win the lotto or something. But he has other plans, and he's got a great backstory which involves the murder of his wife and daughter, and that's what drives him in this mission. He wants a chance to use that time machine and go back and like kill the murderer who killed his wife and daughter and stop their deaths and prevent everything that bad happened to him in life. I think that's genius. You always need that one character that kind of has motivation to go use the time machine for their own selfish kind of reasons, but at the same time, you agree with those reasons. You think about if this was you lost your family, they were brutally murdered, and you have this one chance, you're gonna take it to bring them back. And I think that character is handled great, and they even do a kind of filler episode later on in the season where he actually goes back and eliminates that person. And even though it's a filler episode, I found myself really enjoying that episode. It's probably one of my favorite of the entire first season. It was really great. I gotta give props to the actor. I think he's a great actor, great person to have in that role. And I think this character works. This is something that I really love about this character. He can come off as a jerk at times, but he cares about these people. And he's willing to risk his own life and die for them, even though he has his own selfish reasons at the same time for using the time machine. So I think this character is a great kind of character you need in one of these shows. Someone who's got their own kind of plans, even though it's selfish, you're still rooting for him. And that's what I like about this character. Next, we got Rufus, who is the programmer and pilot of the time machine. Now, his main purpose is, like I said, he's the one who pilots the time machine and helps the crew out. He's like the tech guy of the team. Even though, throughout history, there's, not as much tech, but he also serves as the muscle. But what even more is important for is to show racial tensions and the racial divide within America and the world throughout history. Because if you think about it, you're going to all these different time periods like the Civil War, the Alamo, the Revolutionary War, all these different times in history. And his kind of most important role is kind of to show how racial tension, show how racism has been in America. Yes, that can be kind of preachy at times, but not in this show. I feel like they did a great job in balancing his character out with what he needs to do and how to show the racial tensions and divides within America. He also serves greater on in the story when you find out that the company that he worked for has been manipulating him his whole life, pretty much. They're using him in a way to spy on the team, who he has now come to find as family. And they want him to pretty much spy on them and get them all the information they need to kind of destroy their lives. And he's being manipulated by them. He's finally found his place, but yet he's being manipulated by these people he thought he could trust. And I thought that was such a great thing to do with this character. I think this is probably what all three of these characters separately are great, but combined they create a group of people that do something different that I feel like personally for me I haven't seen in a show in a long time. Next, you got Garcia Flynn. Now, his purpose is he's the main antagonist for probably about the first half of the season. By the second half of the season, you realize there's a bigger villain out there that needs to be stopped, and he's kind of like the fourth member of the team, but he kind of has his own separate mission, and he doesn't work actually with our team. He kind of has his own faction of people he works with. And I think this is such a great character because he has similar motivations to Wyatt in the fact that both of their families are murdered. However, instead of Wyatt, who's going after the person who killed his family, Garcia is going after the entire organization that killed his family. The person that killed his family is actually working for an organization, and Flynn is going and killing these people in history who are members of this organization and trying to topple it down before his wife is murdered, pretty much. And I think that's such a great idea and great purpose. Now, the first half of the season definitely can be looked at as kind of like filler episodes where they go on mission of the week. However, by the second half, it kind of picks up. Now, yes, they continue kind of going on missions of the week in the second half. However, kind of behind the scenes, not mission kind of oriented interactions where they kind of are just back in present time, that's where the story kind of connects and continues on each episode. And I really like this show because the main antagonist isn't Garcia Flynn, as you find out later. It is this organization called Rittenhouse, who is behind the murder of Garcia Flynn's family, the murder of Wyatt's family. They're corrupting Rufus's company that he works for, and Lucy is related to a member. Her biological father is a member of Rittenhouse, and so is her mother, which is why they hand selected her to be a member of this team. They wanted her close and keep an eye on her. That way they can eventually kind of make her join the organization and help them in a way. And I really like that. And I like how each kind of character is connected to the main antagonist of the series. Now, like I said, though, it's definitely can feel like filler, but like I said, if you go with it, if you start episode by episode, stick with it. By the time you get to the mid-season finale, to mid-season premiere, it definitely picks up, and you'll definitely, if you're not interested in it by then, you'll definitely be interested by it by the time you get to the second half of the season. Now, one of the pivotal episodes of the season, which at first light might look like filler episode, but isn't, is the murder of Jesse James, which is an episode where Flynn has gone to the time where Jesse James is kind of on the run. It's his last days, as we all know in history, and he helps Jesse James kind of escape custody the first time, and they go after one of Flynn's old friends who used to work with Rufus but got trapped in time due to kind of the early days of time travel when kind of things went wrong during when they were first trying out the time machine technology. So Flynn goes back in time. He murdered his old pilot that he had captured from Mason Industries, the company that built the time machine. Anthony was one of Rufus's close friends, and he goes back in time to get this other pilot now that he has killed his old pilot. Now, what we don't realize at the time, though, is Emma, who is the pilot that he's gone back in time for, she stayed there on purpose, and Flynn went there and pretty much screwed things up by going back and rescuing her, because she is later revealed to be a member of Rittenhouse. By the end of season 1, Rittenhouse has been pretty much disbanded. All their members have been arrested and put in prison, so the organization has pretty much fallen apart. However, we find out in the last few seconds of the first episode that Emma is a member of Rittenhouse, and she has secured the time machine and is planning on going back in time and finishing what Rittenhouse couldn't in a sense. And I'm guessing she'll be the main antagonist for the second season, and I can't wait to see what they do with this character. Can't wait to see what's going on with the second season. Like I said, if you haven't checked it out, just go binge watch the first season. Maybe just watch read up on the first season. Maybe binge watch it if you have the time, but highly recommend the season. Highly recommend this show. I think if you're not watching it, go check it out, please, because I'm worried about this show as well, because it did get canceled and then brought back, so I'm really worried that it might get canceled the second time. So if you're interested in this kind of concept, please, I recommend go check it out. I would love for this show to continue on, and if you want to support this show, please check it out. So yeah, guys, that's my TV show recommendation for Timeless on NBC. Again, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon. That way you won't be able to miss any more reviews or TV show recommendations. This has been Vision of Blind Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.